Welcome to the Learning Lab Instructor Edition. This is a safe space for both aspiring and current instructors to come and talk about our teaching practices. So if you are a Mahjong instructor, you're in the right place. Today we're going to talk about knowing your numbers and the true cost of teaching. So we'll get to that in a minute. I do want to remind you that you are free to ask any kind of questions you want about your teaching practice. We should have time at the end of this session for an open forum where you can do that. So I want to say thank you for being here. If you're watching the repost, thank you very much for watching these videos. If you have any ideas on topics that you'd like me to cover, please send me an email, which you can find in the video description below. I also want to say thank you very much to our channel moderators who may be here today. And for those of you who are here, thank you so much for helping monitor the live stream chat. I'm going to go ahead and share my, well, actually, we're not going to do screen sharing yet. Later we will, because I want to show you a comparison that I just ran. And we're going to just do some little bit of chit chat around how to get an idea of what it really costs to run a teaching practice. The numbers may surprise you. So let me get my drink stirred here. Say hi in the live stream chat if you're here with me live. And if you're watching the repost, say hi in the comment section below the video. Okay, my drink is ready. And my nose is itchy. Hold on. I still have a cold. I don't know if it'll ever go away, but anyway, let's get to this topic now. Okay, so I just want to do a little bit of reading, just an intro to kind of give us a little framework, and then I'll ask a couple of questions for you to think about. And if you are comfortable, feel free to write them or the answers in the live stream chat so we can talk about it. And I'll share as well if I have something that comes to mind. So with Mahjong, clearly we love the game or we wouldn't be here. We love the game, and so we share about it. And the best way to share about Mahjong is, of course, to teach. We've got to balance our love of teaching with practical financial decisions. Whether you charge, accept donations, or teach gratis, understanding your value and setting fair prices helps your teaching practice stay sustainable. Now, some people don't charge at all. Some people charge because they're wanting to make an income. And there's people in between that. So if you don't charge, then you're going to be basically running your teaching practice out of pocket, which can add up. And it may surprise you to find out how much you're actually spending if you don't track your expenses. So the idea behind this topic for today is, when you know your numbers, you can make better choices, set healthier boundaries, and build a teaching practice that lasts. The idea here is sustainability, and not just financially, but also in your mind. Because in my experience, I've charged for money for lessons, and I've done lessons for free. I've done everything in between, from going for free. So I did lessons where people came and I did not charge them. And then I did lessons where people made donations. And then I ran a meetup where people paid membership dues, and I offset the costs of the meetup with the dues. We would have a party at the end of the year with any money remaining. So I still was not making any money, but I did start using the membership funds to help cover the costs of running a meetup and doing my lessons. Then I started doing mahjong as part of a side hustle where I charged for lessons so that I could make a little bit of income. And then I went full time and I started doing lessons for a higher rate. And then my business grew from there, and I'm now supporting instructors and doing lessons one-on-one for the game in more of a coaching side gig, but I am charging for those lessons. So I've run the gamut of it all. My question for you to think about is, first, do you track expenses? Do you track expenses? No judgment. We're just kind of doing an assessment here. The next question is, do you think of your teaching time as a cost, an investment, or a donation? There's a saying that we could think about, and that is, time is money. Time is money. And we have value. So our time has value. So think about those things as we talk about knowing your numbers and the true cost of teaching. Does anybody have any comments or questions before we go into the talking points? And incidentally, I do have a short episode notes on this, so feel free to just listen and comment and then come back to this webpage that I'll give you later. It'll actually be in the video description below. After the event, I'll update it with these episode notes. Okay, so I don't see any questions right now. So now let's go through just a couple of talking points. So the idea of time being money, your time and skill both have value. Now, whether you see that in yourself or not, it is true. I should add on here a link to a tuition calculator. And in this calculator, there is a tab where you can assess your life experience and put a value on your time as an instructor, kind of an hourly rate based on your experience. And that's going to include both formal and informal training and on-the-job training as well. I suppose you could say on-the-job training is informal training, but I'm thinking of training as in, were you an educator professionally? So an actual formal education you could have. You could also have attended webinars for teaching. You could have maybe done some workshops, or maybe join the guild, the instructor guild, and have taken some of the mini courses we offer, or self-study in the wiki. And then the OJT, on the job training, where you just start teaching and learning as you go. So there are a lot of ways to think about the training that you've had. And over time, that creates value because you learn and you're able to deliver value in what you do. The more you teach, the more you learn and the better you get. The more you understand about working with adults and how to deliver value. So think about those things. And this tuition calculator will help you because there's a list of what you could consider that builds into your teaching resume, I guess you could say. So I'll add that to the show notes so that you can take a look at that and go through that assessment to kind of see what hourly rate would be reasonable as kind of a baseline. So just to summarize, even if you love teaching, recognize that preparation, expertise, and energy are all investments. So now let's talk about expenses, because whether you are charging or not, you're going to have expenses in running a teaching practice. And I say teaching practice because not everybody charges for lessons. Some people run a teaching practice gratis, don't charge for anything, or maybe do it for donations, so they don't bring in an income at all. That's still a teaching practice. Then there are people who do lessons as a business, in which case they're still running a teaching practice, kind of like a law firm and a law practice, or a doctor's office and a health practice. We run a teaching practice. So if you think of it that way, it may help as you think about operations of your teaching practice. So with the expenses that we would incur, I'm going to read through a list that you may or may not have included some of these items. And actually, let's do this. Let me give you, let's say, a minute to write down a list of expenses that come to your mind. So when you, maybe at the beginning of the month, you need to pick up a few things, or maybe just before a lesson, you need to run to Staples and grab some things to help you with your lesson. Just quickly write down all the expenses that you can think of, let's say in the last month. So think about the things you've spent money on for your practice and write it down, whether on an iPhone, tablet, computer, piece of paper, what have you. Just write down the expenses that you think of. And then I'm going to share a list that I've come up with, and we'll do kind of a cross-check. So if you come up with some that I don't have listed, I'll update the list. So I'll give you a minute to do that. And I already wrote this list, so I'm not going to do a list. This is pretty much my list. So we're going to have some empty air time. I'm just going to, let's see here. Just give yourself a little time. Okay, that's probably about a minute. All right, so here are some things on my list. Check them off on yours as we go. And if I get through this list and you have others, write it in the live stream chat so I can update this list. Here's what I have. National Mahjong League cards. Hold on one second. I've got a cough. I want to blow your ears away there. Okay, so National Mahjong League cards. Sometimes in my past, I would have bought cards for the lesson, sometimes not. But if I did buy cards, I would want to get reimbursed. Mahjong sets, Mahjong accessories, things like extra racks, chips, cases, covers, mats, lighting, all those kinds of things, okay? Accessories that help people play the game. Event supplies, things like maybe cardstock for note-taking, pens, pencils. What are those things called where you have a board, a clipboard, so that people, when you write, they have something hard to write on, clipboards. Any kind of supplies like that. Raffle tickets for prizes, even. I have that on the list, event prizes. Raffle tickets is on here. Venue fees, snacks and refreshments, gas and mileage, printing costs for handouts and marketing materials, So out of those, what did I miss? Does anybody want to share any that I did not have on here? Thinking back to when I would do events and open plays, card tables and chairs. I've invested in, I have 6 card tables out in the garage right now. And I even invested in custom tables. The wood burning tables that Kim Yerke does, I got 2 of those. They're beautiful. Those are expenses. Those are equipment expenses. So tables and chairs, I should add on here. Tables and chairs, maybe even microphone and AV system. What do you call that? Amplification. What do you call that? I don't have this yet. I want to get a mic system so I can have a hands-free mic and amplifier, I think is what it's called. I have not invested in that yet, but that will be an expense. So I don't see anybody with an expense. I must have a comprehensive list here. So continue to think about it, add to your list. And if you think of other things, send me an email because I'd like to update this. Meals and lodging. Okay, that's a good one, Sylvia. If you're going away, if you're going overnight, if you've turned your teaching practice into a public speaking, if let's say public speaking is part of your revenue stream, then absolutely. And there'll be more because there'll be travel costs, including ground transportation, short-term parking, baggage fees, seat upgrades, your flight tickets, hotel, even restaurant, you know, if you're eating out, per diem, all those things. Those are all expenses and they're all write-offs, which I personally don't understand very much. My husband does all of our finances, so I thankfully don't have to think about that for now. But just think about all the things that you spend money on, because these are what could be considered hidden costs. You might not even be thinking about some of these things costing you, or maybe you just think that you'll just absorb it. But over time, it can impact your lifestyle, your livelihood even. So the next question I have 2 questions for you to think about in light of this list of expenses. Roughly how much did you invest in your teaching practice last year? So that would be your expenses and even education and training or professional associations like the Guild. If you're part of the Instructor Guild, that would be an expense, your annual dues, and any education that you invested in, even the micro badge program, the merit program for instructors, those fees are all expenses. So think about how much you've invested in your business in the last year. And if you don't track expenses, you're not going to know how much you've invested in your business. How does it feel? How does it feel compared to the joy and value you received? As far as the investment, how did it compare to the joy and value you received? For me, that's a no-brainer because I love doing what I do. So even if it costs me, I would still do it. But I have made this my own teaching practice, my own business. I've made it profitable. So I'm beyond sustainability. I'm in the place, thankfully, where I am profitable. And that's because I track expenses. I track my training. I even have a budget, thankfully, with my partner here who's helped me with the logistics of documenting things so that I make sure I have a profit at the end of the year. And I have a growth goal so that I use the budget to make sure I don't overspend so that we have that growth goal by the end of the year. You might be surprised how much you give as far as supporting your own teaching practice. And that's the first step in creating sustainability. Sustainability is a good thing, but profitability is better, because then you can take that profit and it can be part of your income, but you can also take that profit and reinvest in your own business. And that could mean reinvestment in associations like the Instructor Guild. It could mean investment in training. For example, teaching adults. I'm sure there are courses that you can take online or at local community colleges where you can learn about teaching adults, and it can improve the way that you reach out to people, the way you deliver your lessons, and it could improve your credibility and your reputation, and you could have repeat customers because you've improved yourself, you've invested in yourself. So at the bottom of these show notes, I'll have two buttons. One is going to be the tuition calculator that you'll be able to use to kind of see where you are with your resume and maybe a baseline hourly rate. And then also an expense tracker. If you are not currently tracking your expenses, I highly recommend that you do. And I have a spreadsheet that you're free to use to help start with expense tracking. So I hope that you would use that. If you don't already have one, please use the one that I have here on this episode note page and make it your own. Now, let's see. Some instructors might even have a bookkeeper to help them with all that. Right now, I don't. I do all my own bookkeeping. My husband does our taxes. So right now, we do it all ourselves. Eventually, we'll probably need to hire it out. But for now, we do all the tracking, all the reporting, income reporting, tax returns, all of that we do ourselves. And what's required with that is tracking. You've got to do the expense tracking. Otherwise, when you get to reporting your income for tax returns, it's going to be a nightmare. Oh, going through your income, your bank statements for a whole year and having to backtrack, kind of like backlog it. Oh, I've had to do that before, and it's painful. It's painful. I highly recommend tracking as you go. This year, I made it a goal to, when I have a receipt, log it in my bookkeeping system immediately, so I don't have stray receipts all piling up anywhere in my wallet or on my desk, because I've trained myself this year as a goal to enter every expense that I've incurred, whether it's printing costs, gas for travel, short-term parking, travel, like airfare and all those sorts of things. Everything has been documented this year. Printing costs, shipping costs, when I ship my lesson kit, all those things have been tracked this year. So I'm used to that now. So it does feel a little bit arduous at first, but you will not regret making this change. If you don't track your expenses now and you commit to doing it going forward, you will not regret it. I guarantee it. So let me give you a few reflections as we close this talking portion of this session. The first is sum up your expenses for the year. What surprised you most about the cost of teaching? You won't know that unless you document your expenses, and that may require you to go through your bank statement and your credit card statements if you use credit and document every time you've spent money for lessons. And it includes all those things that we talked about, the list. So think about those things, because there are hidden costs, and I believe those hidden costs are undocumented expenses. I could be wrong on that definition, but I think that's what it is. Okay, the next question is, what's one teaching related expense you didn't expect when you launched your teaching practice? I can tell you one for me, and I'm still terrible at it. Gas and mileage. Gas and mileage, and even, isn't there something, maybe the mileage kind of goes into the upkeep and maintenance of your vehicle, which you need to get to and from lessons. You should be tracking gas and mileage, because all that is expense and write-off as well. And then the last question is, what small change could help you make teaching more sustainable? What could help make your teaching practice sustainable? Financially and mentally, because over time, if you don't compensate yourself or you don't take care of logistics that then later make you feel overwhelmed or unappreciated, it could affect your mindset over time. So you want sustainability financially, mentally, physically. You're a whole person and you have a lifestyle, and it could all be impacted if you don't take care of the operations of your teaching practice. So that covers our topic for today. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share, or that you have any questions about tracking expenses and about running a sustainable teaching practice? Please let me know. I'm going to quickly go to this wiki article and update it with Sylvia's comment and add tables and chairs in here. And then I'll copy the link and put it in the chat. And then I'll also put it in the video description so that if you're watching the repost, you can access it. So let me do this while I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions or comments about running a sustainable teaching practice. Please let me know. Today's session so far has been a bit short, which is fine. We usually go about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the topic. Let me see here. I was going to put in table or card tables, or let's just put tables and chairs. I've invested in all that. We have gas and mileage on here. We could put, let's see, travel expenses. I'll just put in parentheses, e.g., short-term parking, ground transportation, and accommodations. And then we have gas and mileage for local lessons. I always misspell accommodations. How in the world? Oh, it's accommodation. No, it's a comma. Accommodations. I always want to put an E in there. Okay, so gas, mileage, travel expenses. Does anyone have a recommended app to track mileage? I just use a spreadsheet. But let me save this. Let's see, Sylvia, that's a really good question. Let's see here. App for tracking mileage. Small business. I always include small business because then it'll be affordable. Driver's note. Here we go. Let's take a look at this together. Mileage tracker. Okay, let me share my screen. This actually looks good, but let me look and see what the pricing is first before I recommend. Oh my goodness, they have a free version. Wow, $11 a year. This is totally affordable. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is great. I found a tool for you. I might even use this myself. Although I'm pretty much a homebody, even though I do speaking gigs. But I drive basically to and from the airport. Still, that's mileage. Boy, look at that. My computer crashed. Okay, come on now. My browser crashed. Can you still hear me? Oh, come on. What is happening? Oh my goodness. Hold on. Technical difficulties here. Hold on. Okay, my webcam is on. What is happening? Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My browser totally crashed. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen now. Okay, do you hear me and see me? Okay, here's the app. It's called Driver's Note, driversnote.com. Open, so I will add this to the video description as well. And looks like my browser. Okay, so the features, they have tracking. You could even classify and report. We're not going to go into a lot of that, but I just want to show you the pricing for this. 0, they have a free version, automatic mileage tracking, iOS, Android, and web, reporting for up to 15 trips. So there's a minimum, few times a week. For professional driving, frequent mileage, $11 a month. That is totally affordable. So check it out, give it a try, and let me know what you think about that. Okay, now the next thing that I wanted to show you is how to get to the show notes for these episodes. If you go to MAHJLIFE.com, you want to hover over the instructor menu. Okay, so hover over the instructor menu. Once it comes, there it is. Click on Learning Lab. And then when you click on Learning Lab, it'll take you to a Learning Lab page. You can learn all about it. We actually have a private Facebook group you can join. That Facebook group is primarily for players, where instructors can support players and practice their teacher's voice. So consider joining the Learning Lab on Facebook. But I want to show you this button here, Instructor Edition Content. That's what I want you to click on to get to the show notes. So if you click on that button, it will take you to a wiki article for instructors only. And this is a free source for you. I call this the Learning Lab Instructor Edition Resource Hub. All the show notes from the episodes that we've been doing on Thursdays are in here. So if you've missed any of these episodes, you can binge watch them for what we've done to date and going forward. So down below here, you can see the categories that we focus on, and under there are the articles. You can see the popular articles on the left, featured articles in the middle, and then recently updated articles on the right. If you want to know what topic we're talking about the day of these live streams, look under the newest articles, and it'll be at the top of the list at 11 o'clock the day of the live stream. For this live streams show notes, click Know Your Numbers, the true cost of teaching. If you click on that, you'll come to what we just talked about. I did add tables and chairs and also travel expenses to that list. And this is where the easy expense tracker is. And I'm also going to add to this a button to download the tuition calculator. So you can do all that homework and kind of do an assessment for yourself and start tracking expenses. If you don't do your own bookkeeping, if you don't do any bookkeeping at all, start with your expenses, and that way it won't be overwhelming. Just start with one thing. Even if you decide to start with tracking your mileage and gas, just start there. And then start tracking all your expenses in the spreadsheet. And then after a while, you'll get used to that. Start doing your own bookkeeping and then do your own reporting. And eventually it'll become part of your operations. And you'll see that you'll have a much more sustainable, maybe even profitable teaching practice. All right, any questions at all? Or does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about in regards to your teaching practice? We're here to support you, whether you're a guild member or not. This is a service that we offer at MAHJLIFE. So if you are not a member of the guild, we're here for you too. I'll give you a couple minutes to think about if there's anything that you want to share. While you're doing that, let me look at what our topic is for next week. I usually do segments in threes or episodes in threes. So the last three we talked about Socratic questioning, active listening, and responding with precision. So it was all about communication, basically. And this now we're starting with finance. So we'll do another 2 on some kind of finance logistics. So let me just tell you what you have to look forward to for the next 2 weeks, because we kind of do this in threes. And let's see, I have it up right here. So the next episode, this is the 22nd. So the next episode is smart pricing, fair value, balance, passion, and practicality. We're probably going to be looking at the tuition calculator. So if you download that and get used to it with the kind of the assignment here or the challenge that I've given you here, you'll be ready for next week. And we could even talk about it if you want. We could do some hot seat coaching even. So that would be on the 29th. And then the last in the 3 is going to be affiliate marketing for instructors to add value and earn income. So we're going to talk about affiliate marketing in 2 weeks. So I hope that you'll find these episodes helpful. Please let me know if you do. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comment section below or send me a direct email, which you'll find in the video description below. And then we'll be back again next week. I don't see any comments or needs, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you found it helpful. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.